Sa Ha Naavavatu. Saha Naavavatu. Saha Veeryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, everybody. Today we are here to discuss. Our plan is to have some deeper discussions on the most significant Shanti mantras that we use in our yoga practice journey. So, the first one, and this is like quite very significant in most of the yoga classes, we use this mantra, the Saha Naavavatu, the Shanti mantra. So, in the today's discussion, we'll go to the word by word meaning of it and the complete essence and how this entire Shanti mantra is and its meaning. So, just to summarize, if you remember our discussion on the mantras and its significance and classifications, just to rewind that whole discussion, there are three types of mantras. One is the bigger, large part of mantras, which we'll just call them as mantras. The other types are called bija mantras, which are generally used for the japa. When you're chanting the repetition of the mantra, for example, Om Namah Shivaya or Om Ganganapataye Namaha, these kind of mantras are called bija mantras. They are one-liners. The other one, the third classification is Shanti mantras. Generally, these mantras are chanted before the major chanting of the mantra. So, in any Upanishad, you will have first a chanting of the Shanti mantra, and then you will have the major Upanishad. For example, until last week, we were discussing about Ishavasya Upanishad, and that Purnamadav Purnamidam, that whole mantra, that is a Shanti mantra for Ishavasya Upanishad. So you will have mantras, before that you will have Shanti mantra, and at the end, when you complete the entire Upanishad chanting, you complete with the same Shanti mantra. So Shanti mantra will always be chanted in the beginning and at the end of the specific mantra. So there are many Shanti mantras, and generally Shanti mantra has a very deep, interesting meaning. So one of those Shanti mantras is this Saha Naavavatu, and Saha Naavavatu is very frequently used in yoga classes, in the beginning of the yoga class, and sometimes at the end of the yoga class also. So, in that case, let's understand the meaning and have a deeper discussion on this mantra. So, this mantra is one, it is in few places this is used. In Taittiriya Upanishad is one of the places where it is used, Saha Naavavatu. And we'll understand word by word meaning. So, starting from the first sentence. Generally, you will see most of the mantras, you will start with Om. Om has its own significance. Probably we can have a deeper discussion on why Om is such an important aspect of our chanting. So we'll keep that for a different discussion. So then you will see, if you observe this whole mantra, the Saha Naavavatu mantra, there is one thing that is common that says Saha. If you look at the chanting, Saha Naavavatu, Saha Naavavatu, Saha Veer, that Saha is repeated, right? The word Saha, Saha, Saha. So in the first three lines, you will see Saha, 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 right? So this Saha means together. The other word that is repeated is now. In the first one, because of the grammatical difference, this is Saha now avatu becomes Saha Naavavatu. But actually, if you look at this word, this is Saha now avatu. Okay. Saha now, if you split it, Saha now avatu, we is the meaning of the word avatu. So Saha together, we now. Okay, that becomes, as a grammatical part of it, it becomes Naavavatu. So we both, so which means This is a discussion, or let's say this is the mantra that is chanted by the teacher and the student. So this mantra is a prayer by the teacher and the student. So that is the context here. We both means me and my student, or me and my teacher, we both together. So that's where the whole mantra meaning starts. Sahana Vavatu, the first one, may we both be protected. Avatu is the word. Sahana Vavatu. If you split it, it is Saha Naavavatu. Ava is the word that has a root that comes with the meaning Rakshana or protection. So may we both be protected. So if you observe how the tendency of learning happens, first you need the protection. First you need the basics are supported. If there is a protection, this is coming from the concept of Mooladhara Chakra. First it is the survival. The basic necessities are well nourished, only then the learning can happen. So that's why first it says, may we both be protected from all the evils. So Sahana Vavatu. The second word says Sahanau Bhunaktu. So here, Saha now, we both together, you know, that's how our tendency is. When we are protected, the very basic thing is taken care, then we want to be nourished, we want to be prosperous. So without prosperity, the whole spiritual journey will not be very sufficient. It won't be complete. So prosperity in the sense, all the basic needs are well taken care after the survival part is taken care. So after Mooladhara Chakra, which is the survival instinct, then after that we want Swadhisthana and Manipura, the second and third chakra. Swadhisthana is of basic instinctive emotions, and Manipura is all the power and wealth. So those are also important. Once I have the root chakra part taken care, Sahana Vavatu, then Sahanau Bhunaktu, which is the Swadhisthana and Manipura, the second and third chakra, that also has to be taken care. May we both be well nourished. Only then we can think of the learning process. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Then the third one. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Saha, we both together, Viryam Karavavahai. Now, the word Virya comes from the root word Vr Avarane. So, whatever that now that we study, that has to become Virya, that has to become an essence. Many a times it happens that when we are studying something, today our normal study in the day-to-day life, that study has a business purpose. Why do I study something? We go to the school, or we go to a skill learning, because that particular knowledge will bring me something else. But that is not the main perspective behind gaining knowledge. Knowledge should not have, basically should not have any other reason other than gaining knowledge. In the early methods of Gurukula system of education, even in our Gurukula also, the idea of study was to have the study. When you gain knowledge, you don't gain knowledge for something, you gain knowledge because gaining knowledge makes you happy, right? The whole process should make me happy. So when I study something, that should bring some value to my life. If my studies are bringing value to my life, then that is bringing virya. Virya is an essence. Virya is something that is practiced with the devotion, and that brings some value addition to my life. If that happens, then whatever that we study, saha viryam karavavahe, whatever that we both study together, let that be leading to virya. This means that whatever we both are studying together, karavavahai, together what we study, which means even the teacher is saying that what we both study together, let that lead to the essence of our studies. Which means even the teacher is saying, I am not teaching, we both study together, where I play the role of a teacher. How beautifully the role of a teacher and the student is crafted here. The teacher is not somebody who gives knowledge. Student is not somebody who is only receiving knowledge. When we both discuss together, the knowledge is churned out, which means we both play the roles of a teacher and the student. There is no real hierarchy here. By teaching you, I study. By studying, I am also teaching. So it's a very fluidic roles that the teacher and student play. By giving an opportunity as a student, you are giving me an opportunity to teach, through which I actually study the whole process of giving the knowledge. So it is not really one sided. We both study together. That should lead to the virya. Now, once you have virya, from here, Saha Viryam Karva Bhai, from there you will go to something very, very interesting. So, in a Upanishad called Chandogya Upanishad, this is the explanation that they give. What is virya? What do you call that has virya? It says, Yadeva Vidyaya Karoti Shraddhaya Upanishada Tadeva Viryavattaram Bhavati. This is in a Upanishad called Chandogya Upanishad that says, whatever that is studied Vidyaya, in the pursuit of knowledge, whatever that is studied with a devotion, with a Shraddha, Shankaracharya explains that Shraddha means Astikya Buddhihi, which means there is a complete devotion through which he is studying. Yadeva Shraddhaya Vidyaya Upanishada, by living nearby, by completely immersing yourself. When you study something, that leads to Virya. So one should have a devotion towards the practice. One should have that kind of knowledge, pursuit of knowledge should be there, and completely immersed in that study. In that case, that kind of study becomes viryavat, filled with virya. When you study something like that, of course it has to reflect in our daily life. If it is not reflecting in the daily life, what is the point of having that kind of knowledge? um, when that knowledge, something that we study, if it is not a part of our life, then it is only an intellectual gymnastics, right? We know a lot. What is the point of knowing so much when it is not a part of our daily life? It has to add some value into my daily life, right? So if you look at, I always give this example. Certain people, maybe like a good example could be Dalai Lama, His Holiness Dalai Lama. When you see him, there is certain type of a glow on his face. This is not because of a makeup, right? This is not because of certain show off that somebody would be doing. Somebody who is in spirituality, or this kind of living the life of a spiritual journey, there is some sort of a glow on his face. That glow is called Tejasvi. Tejasvi Navadhita Mastu. Whatever that we study, let that be Tejasvi. The most important aspect of this mantra. If we, whatever that we study, if it is not percolating in my daily life actions, then it is of no use. So if it is reflecting in my actions, in my daily life, then that is Tejasvi. Tejas is generally referring to the Pitta dosha in Ayurveda, or this is the fire element. That means the essence of whatever that we have studied, whatever that comes to me in my studies, that has to reflect in my activity, in my daily life. In that case, that is Tejasvi. That is Tejas. The one who has it is called Tejasvi. So both the teacher and the student are making the prayer saying, whatever that we study, let that be Tejasvi. Tejasvi Navadhita Mastu. Now Adhita Mastu. Together, Adhitam, studied. Let that be Tejasvi. Astu, let that be Tejasvi. The essence of that is reflected in our life. We hope and wish that whatever that we study, that is reflected in our life. This is the real transition of our knowledge helping me in my spiritual journey. And it also says ma vidvishavahai. When we study, there will be a lot of different ideas, concepts, you know. So I'm explaining something. Let's say, for example, I'm explaining here the Tejasvi concept, and you might not agree with what I say, right? And what I am saying is a concept that I'm trying to explain. This is not my concept. When you disagree with me in that concept, you do not really disagree with me, but you disagree with me in that particular context, right? So let us not hate each other. We may agree to disagree, we may have different opinions, different viewpoints, because every human being is unique, everybody's journey is unique, and you cannot have one truth that is experienced by everybody. We all have our own different journeys, so it is completely understandable if we have different opinions. We can agree to disagree, but let us not hate each other. In the today's social media life, with YouTube and all other social media, whatever you say, that has a lot of different types of comments. Sometimes in yoga videos also, somebody will be saying, no, whatever you are saying is utterly rubbish and it is wrong. You can disagree with the concept, right? And that you can still be polite. Let us not hate each other, but we can completely disagree. We don't have to accept, because we might have different opinion. Let us not hate each other. Ma vidvi shavahai, right? And after this is a very interesting aspect which is used in every mantra. So I will not be going to the detail in other mantras. So let's go, because we are looking at the first mantra in detail today, which is Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Okay. Now first the pronunciation. Lot of times we have some confusion in the pronunciation. When you chant, you don't really chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We don't chant that. The reason, you have a visarga at the end. You have two dots there. Shantihi, it is pronounced as Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. If you separately chant them, that's how it is. If you put them together, this is a normal common rule in Sanskrit, that if you have a sha before, like at the end, you have sha. Before that you have visarga. That means shanti hi, that he is a visarga. And then you have another sha. In that case, you stress the previous ta, which means shantish shantish. That tish, it's not shanti shanti shanti. Shantish shantish shantihi. The last one, you just say shantihi, because there is nothing else at the end. So that's the pronunciation part. Shantish shantish shantihi. In Yajurveda chanting, it is shantish. In Rigveda chanting, the connotation is on sha. So that's why Shanti, Shanti, Sham, the Sha will have a lower note. Anyway, generally it is very popular to chant from the Yajurveda viewpoint. So Shanti, 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 that is the pronunciation. So why are you chanting three times? Because there is a concept called Tapatraya. These are all called three different types of heats or disturbances. Tapa literally means heat, but this is also called the pain, the suffering at three different stages. One is Adi Bhautika, the pain, the suffering at the physical level. Let there be calmness, let there be peace, let there be Shanti in my life at the physical level, in the physical universe. What is physical universe? Whatever the senses can see, senses can accumulate, right? Through my eyes, through my ears, whatever I can consume, that is the physical universe. Adi bhautika. Bhautika, the word comes from bhuta. Bhuta means elements, five elements. Whatever that is made up of five elements, that is the physical universe. Whatever the suffering that one might be having through the physical universe, let that be calmed. That is Shanti for the Adi Bhautika. Shanti for Adi Daivika. Daiva comes from the word Deva. Deva also refers to Indriyas, but specifically something that you can experience, but it is not grasped by your senses. Which means I can experience the movement of my arm, right? But you can't really see the energy that I feel in my body. So there is a whole energy universe that is around us. This is nothing special, nothing heavenly that I'm speaking. The energy that is in the mango seed that makes the mango tree, the energy, there is a whole tree that is hidden in the seed, right? In the same way, there is energy that makes the water fluid, the energy that keeps the breeze flowing. All that is experienced but can't be seen at the outer layer with our physical senses. This is called adi daivika. There can be many different types of sufferings one could go through at energy level. Let there be shanti to that as well. The third one is adhyatmika, adhi atma, at the level of consciousness. At the level of consciousness, everything is one. So in this journey of consciousness also, I can be going through a lot of suffering. So let there be shanti to my spiritual journey at the level of consciousness. And these three, very interestingly, in many practices in yoga, in Vedanta, in other darshanas as well, there is this concept of tapatraya is very frequently used. This is called tapatraya. Three, traya comes from the word three. Trini, Trini. So from there, Traya, the set of three suffering, which means Adi Bhautika at the physical level, Adi Daivika at the level of energies, Adhyatmika at the level of consciousness. All the three different levels of tapa, the suffering, may we have shanti at the level of adhyatmika, at the level of consciousness. When you have shanti, that means you lead to samadhi. At the level of Adhidaivika, at the level of energy universe, there are so many different types of sufferings one can go through. Physical diseases, mental disorders, starting from that, other issues one can face, which some can see in horoscopes as well. So, all these different types of sufferings one goes through, let the Shanti may appear. So when I'm chanting, I'm doing two things. One, I'm praying for the Shanti, that peace in all the three layers. Also, I am trying to remind myself that there are three layers, not just one. The physical layer we always know because the senses are always connected. But we might not be knowing something that is beyond the physical level, which is the energy universe, which is at the consciousness level also. So, in a way, this is also a reminder that Om Shanti. I'm reminding myself that there are three different layers to this universe. Do not restrict your perspective to only to the physical layer. Try to go beyond the physical layer as well. So, don't feed yourself only through the senses at the physical level. So, it's a reminder as well. So that's why this is a Tapatraya concept, and three Shantis are very frequently used at the end of every mantra chanting. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So finally, if you have no tapa, no suffering at all these layers, you have reached the finest stage of yoga practice. You have become Buddha. You have reached samadhi. So that's why this is that important to chant those three shantis. Okay. So this is the meaning of Sa Ha Naavavatu. I just go with the connotations, the swaras. You will always see this is exactly in the same method it is chanted. It is like sa. Sa is a lower note. Okay. Sa Ha Naavavatu. Na is an upper note. Sa. Sa Ha Naavavatu. All other syllables, they don't have any note. It's a neutral ones. Saha Naavavatu. Sa and now. Sa lower note, now upper note, or all others have neutral notes, no notes. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Sa is a lower note. Viryam. V is a lower note. Yam upper note. That's why Saha Viryam Karavavahai. No notes, neutral. The next one, Teja and Swi. Not Swi, Teja, both have the lower note, and that's why Tejaswi. When there are two notes, the second note has more emphasis. Tejaswina, lower note. Navadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. That's a double note. Shavahai e, double note. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Two T's, Shanti, Shanti, lower notes. The last one is an upper note. Okay, once put together before we complete. Om Sa Ha Naavavatu. Sa Ha Naavavatu. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That's all the meaning of the Saha Naavavatu Shanti mantra. So it can be used in the beginning of the class, at the end of the class, and not just only in the yoga class. In general, also it can be used in any learning process. It can be used because this is in the context of two people calling the teacher and the student, using it to enhance their studies, to have the real meaning of their studies. So it is ideal to use it. So let me know what are the other mantras. Some people have mentioned it that they wanted to study the mantras. So that's why we slightly deviated once to go to some mantras, and then we will come back to the Upanishads again. So in the next few days, we are taking some mantras and their meaning, some very important Shanti mantras. So this was the first one that quite a few people were mentioning that we should start with Sa Ha Naavavatu. That's why we started. Let me know in the comment box or in a WhatsApp message or in a DM, anywhere. You can send me the other mantras that you would like to explore, and then we will take them in our discussion. Let me know if it is helpful. Whatever other topics that you want to explore, please let me know that as well. Once we complete a few mantras, we'll come back to Upanishads and all other concepts that we are supposed to discuss. Thank you very much for supporting. Thank you. If it is helpful, I hope that our new endeavor will be fruitful in our yoga studies. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.